that. Hi everyone, thanks for being there. So I'm JP Ascenci. I'm working at CAST. All of our team is quite excited today because it's the official launch of our brand new Cloud Ready Index. So that's the subject I'm gonna speak about during this session of 30 minutes. So the main recurring question that we're gonna try to answer during this 30 minutes is, are your business apps cloud ready? And by advance, I apologize with my strong French accent. I'm gonna do my best to speak slowly. And if you don't understand something, just don't hesitate, raise your hand, I'm gonna do my best. So before diving into the subject about how we can provide a portfolio health assessment, a portfolio view about how ready you are to embrace and to engage with cloud, let's step back a little bit and introduce, and come to the key challenges that the digital era brought to us. So I think we're going to agree with all of these points here, is that during this last, let's say, 5 to 10 years, we can now say that software is everywhere, okay? And every business is now into the software business. So I think we all agree with that, okay? The second thing, which is quite important, is that everything evolves at fast pace. That's why, for instance, DevOps is so popular for this specific event, okay? And last but not least, the other challenge that the digital era has brought is the fact that the customer engagement now requires more than ever innovation, intelligence. So all these three challenges push us actually to a sense of urgency, to a sense that we need to transform. Okay? And the three main drivers we're going to speak today and we're going to address is actually how we can make sure that we transform, to turn and to change the software to be more visible, to be more tangible, how we can assess this inner complexity. Okay? Second point is great to know that we need to evolve faster, stronger, etc., but we also need to refine totally the way we design, we develop, we maintain, we operate our software. Once again, we can refer to Agile and DevOps. And last, we know that to better engage with our customer, we need to rely on strong innovation, okay? And we also need to rely on our ecosystem, okay? So that's, to set the scene about the three main drivers about we need to have better software, we need to develop faster, stronger products. So I like to summarize, and this is going to be the two leitmotifs of this presentation. So we have the product on the one side that needs to be more and more intelligent to better engage with our customer, okay? And on the other side, we need to actually reduce the time to market and make sure that we converge to continuous integration and continuous delivery, okay? For these both challenges, actually, we see cloud as a fantastic and a terrific enabler and terrific catalyst. Okay? So the subject today is to see how we can embrace this journey of moving to the cloud. So when we speak about cloud, we have plenty of characteristics that we could spend, times and times to detail. So here, usually when we do engage with CTO and CIOs, they know that cloud is not something binary, okay? You've got different type of clouds, public, private, hybrid, but you can also engage with different steps, okay? So here is a slide which is defining, the different kind of engagement you have. And I particularly like this one because it's defining the balance of responsibilities, okay? Bear in mind that we're speaking at the portfolio level here. You've got hundreds or thousands of applications within your legacy, and you need to define what's the best route, what's the best way to engage with the cloud. So on-prem, no magic, you all know, you control everything. Everything is running on your infrastructure. Then on the other extreme, you've got the software as a service, which is fantastic. You are looking for some capabilities, features. You are making some RFP on the market. You find one software vendor, get these answers, and you can engage with SaaS. But you are not controlling anything, right? You are subscribing to a service. And you've got all this bunch of options at the middle from infrastructure as a service, container as a service, and platform as a service, okay? So we're gonna see during this presentation how you can make sure you can assess hundreds or thousands of applications and to determine the one are the best suitable to engage with, whether IaaS as a first wave and then platform as a service as a second wave, okay? What is quite also interesting to see on this slide is that IaaS can be seen, especially if we are just limiting to the lift and shift, is I just want to turn my infrastructure as a commodity, right? Where platform as a service is I'm turning everything I can as a commodity, and I just want to focus on what matters for me. i.e., for this specific presentation here, the application and the data. Okay? So in order to summarize, okay, to make it even simpler, we can also summarize with this chart, which is showing you, okay, yes, maybe the shortest path, the shortest way to engage with cloud, especially because you've got tools that can automate this lift and shift mechanism. But at the end of the day, you're going to reach one plateau very quickly, okay, in terms of value to the business. And it is exactly where platform as a service is taking the transition, okay, to include, thanks to hundreds of workloads of services, how you can embrace innovation to better engage with your customer. Okay? So once again, bear in mind, it's not binary, sorry. You can engage with yes, and then after transition to platform as a service. So all that said, I was speaking about the couple of services that platform as a service can provide to you. Here are a bunch of them. Okay, so there are some samples. It's not an exhaustive view, but if we come back to our previous point during the introduction, we were speaking about we have to develop faster, okay, stronger software, etc. So you can subscribe to developer services thanks to platform as a service. So we will have this ability to improve the way you've got your feedback loop with your end user, to be more proactive. That's the kind of platform as a service can activate for you. The second point is, let's say you are using some database and you want to turn your database system as a commodity, okay? Because you just want to focus on what matters for you, okay? The business logic, for instance. So you can actually activate database as a service as well. So that's for, you know, the most common known workload that you can have on the platform as a service. But you can also, and that's where we speak about the real innovation, meaning the one that the end customer are touching, is analytics and IoT, for instance. Okay? How I can make sure that my legacy system can be modernized to subscribe to some past workloads such as IoT, okay? such as deep learning, such as all this bunch of services that will help me to move my application, my legacy system to some product that will better engage with my end customer. Okay? So that's what, you know, in terms of introduction is we've got different type of clouds. It's not binary. We can engage with yes and then transition to platform as a service, for instance, to increase the value. And you will be able to activate a couple of workloads, such as the one that I'm displaying on the screen. So just come back to my original question. Are your business application cloud ready? Okay. And the biggest challenge that we have, I'm not focusing on the applications that are born into the cloud. I'm focusing on all of your hundreds, even thousands of applications that you've got today. And you need to baseline, you need to understand about their health, you need to understand about their business value, as well as if they are ready to move to the cloud. Okay? So that's actually the main point we will try to answer. So first of all, I told you during the introduction that we are quite excited, because today it's the official launch of our Cloud Ready Index, and I'm going to detail this concept a little bit later. But the concept of how to make sure you can assess if your application are ready to move to the cloud is to bring one discipline which is called application portfolio analysis. So the point here is to be able very quickly to assess your portfolio of application and get an objective view about the health of this portfolio. Because having a good score in terms of cloud readiness is one thing, but you also need to correlate with other subjects such as the risk, the complexity, the technical debt, the business impact, the costs. So that's why it's not limited only to the Cloud Ready Index. This is something that should be embedded into a bunch of analytics and insights that you provide with application portfolio analysis. So concretely, how does it work? Okay, so it's a SaaS solution which is actually works with what we call assessment campaign. Okay, so you will launch an assessment campaign that can address a population of 10, 100, or even 1,000 of applications, and any of your app owner will receive a notification through email, and they will have two things to do. The first thing is to assess a quick survey for information we cannot derive from the code scan. And the second action is actually where the magic happens. The app owner will have to download one local agent. They will have to run this local agent against the source code. Okay? So you analyze the source codes because I keep telling you that it's objective, okay? It's fact-based because we are scanning the source code of the application. And this local agent is actually producing one result files, okay, which is not even encrypted, so you can open it just to make sure that there is no source code on it, and you ship this result file into our SaaS platform. It takes between actually 2 minutes to 30 minutes, according to the size of your application, and as soon as it reaches our SaaS platform or analytics platform, you have the ability to rely on a couple of analytics such as the application resiliency, the complexity, as well as the Cloud Ready Index. So it's meant to provide you a kind of an helicopter view at the portfolio level about how healthy is your application portfolio and how ready it is to engage with cloud. Okay? So that's pretty much the way it's working and how you can determine whether or not your application are ready. So if we now drill down and dive into the subject, and we just narrow down to the cloud migration subject. So pretty sure you understand that we are bringing some fact-based information. So what kind of direct goals or direct result that we've got when we speak about migration? So the first one is when you are assessing application, you are doing your due diligence, it's very often that you are not using the same mechanism from one part of your portfolio to the other. If it's somebody else which is performing the assessment, it's going to be a different technique. So here, with this actually fact-based assessment, we are bringing something standardized to analyze your portfolio. And not only on the Cloud Ready Index, also for the risk and the complexity. So it means that it is objective, but also cost and time efficient. So it's something that you can run multiple times. The second point is where today you may need a couple of days to manually scan your application to understand the inner complexity, if it is ready to move to the cloud. Here you will be able in such amount of time to analyze hundreds of applications. Okay? So it's very important once again to step back a little bit to get this X-ray view and to understand at portfolio level what's the health of your portfolio, what's the business value of your application before even considering how and when to migrate, okay? So you've got this high-level view for point number 2 that will allow you to reduce this time to market, not spending days and weeks to analyze 1, 2, or 3 applications. So you have got this portfolio analysis. Third one, if we drill down to the application level, so you understand the health of your portfolio, you understand the application that will be, let's say, the best candidate for you to migrate, you can now drill down to one application and understand, the rationale behind the score, okay? So we'll be able to determine the roadblocks as well as the blockers. So a roadblock is a hurdle, is something that's going to slow down your migration, okay? So we detect this code pattern on the source code, and we're able to tell you, if you envision to migrate to the cloud, you should fix this specific point. And everything is documented, okay? But you can also determine boosters, meaning stuff that you've got on the source code that will help you to speed up, to accelerate this migration. So that's why you are ready to determine on point 3 what kind of workload you can activate, okay? So if I come back to my example with IoT, okay, I've got some legacy system I want to modernize. Okay, it's going to take me something like 12 months or 18 months. I want to subscribe to some IoT services using platform as a service. Up front, I will get the visibility on what I need to fix, what I need to modernize to activate such or such services. Okay? Last point of the approach, which is for me maybe the most important, is migrating to the cloud, especially if we are speaking about portfolio dealing with hundreds, even thousands of applications. That's a multi-year program, right? So here we are not speaking about a one-shot assessment, like an audit. It's something that should be continuous, okay? Because there are some applications that will need a couple of modernization waves to be ready to move, okay? So that's also one key differentiator of the offering here, is that because it's objective, because it's cost and time efficient, you can run this assessment as many times as you need, especially for applications that are evolving at fast pace. But I will come back on this point a little bit later. Okay? So if I summarize here, the approach is by using a standardized way to run your due diligence, you will be able to reduce the time to market to understand your portfolio of application. At the application level, you will understand what you need to fix to subscribe to some services that will help you to get better engagement to your customer, to gain some market share. And last but not least, you can run it as many times as you want. So if we look at the kind of insight, because the question is, are your business app cloud ready? So what kind of insight do we bring up front? So as I was telling you, we are launching an assessment campaign. The app owner are answering a couple of questions, scanning the source code, and the application are what we call onboarded. Okay? So meaning you can benefit from different level of analytics directly to a SaaS platform. So we're going to look at information that are as important as the Cloud Ready Index. We're going to look in terms of application portfolio analysis about your software resiliency. Okay? Is the code of your application, here we are at the portfolio level, but is your code of your portfolio of one application is following the best practices? Is it secure code? Okay? Because why we should envision or invest, thousands of dollars into one application that is not even secured? Okay? So one application needs to be fixed. Okay? We are also capturing information such as agility, the complexity, as well as the cloud readiness. So here the point is not meant really to speak with developers. It's more meant to speak with decision makers that need to understand very quickly what about the health of their portfolio and what about the readiness to move to the cloud. Okay? So I keep telling you that cloud readiness is one side of the analytics that we are providing because we strongly believe that you need to get the big picture, the helicopter view about, I want to understand if you make cross analysis between your business impact of your application versus your risk, okay, where you are. And all the bubble you see in this kind of analytics will help decision maker to understand, oh, by the way, among hundreds of applications, I've got this part of my application that are very critical for the business, but are also on control. Okay, so the top right are representing applications that are critical for the business, but are on control, meaning the risk is low. Okay, we have scanned the source code, and we can tell you that the likelihood of this application to fail in production is quite low. Okay? But on the other side, and I'm not even speaking about cloud readiness here. I need to make my first gate, my first qualification about I've got some business critical application, so on the top of the chart, but are on the left part. So it means that the resiliency is low, i.e. the risk is high. So I should start looking at why I'm so risky before even envisioning moving. Okay? So that's the kind of setting the scene that application portfolio analysis is doing. And now, if we dive into our subject, this is definitely the kind of insight and fact-based analysis that decision maker will look is I want to understand the business impact of my application versus my cloud readiness. Because now I've spotted a couple of applications that are not so risky, and I want to understand how ready they are to move. Okay, so I anticipate a couple of questions that you may have. We are scanning the source code, okay, and we are looking at different code patterns that will tell us how good you are and how ready you are to move to the cloud. Okay, so here, for instance, and I'm pretty sure you are familiar with this kind of analysis, is you can quickly understand and spot applications that are the best candidate for you as a quick win. Meaning they are not so critical for the business, but are very ready to move to the cloud. Okay, so bottom right. So you can spot this candidate, and the size of the bubble can be the cost in terms of FTEs, can be the number of roadblocks that we have identified at the source code analysis. Okay? And as you can imagine, the number of roadblocks that we found is correlated to the effort to modernize the application or to fix the application before moving. So as soon as you have started to build trust with your cloud service provider, with your system integrators, and even internally you build some experience, you can now move to a second stage where you're going to look at applications that are definitely more critical for the business. Okay? But they are still very easy to migrate. So what you are looking for is to find the great success story you will be able to use internally about how great it is to move to the cloud and to activate some platform as a service, okay, to scale internally. Okay? Let's be frank, there are some application that's going to be a pain. Okay? It's not going to be a simple lift and shift, easy, etc. There are some applications that will require different modernization waves to move and to embrace a platform as a service. Okay? So that's once again the kind of insight we are bringing up front, just to make sure that decision maker, chief enterprise architect, application portfolio manager, and cloud architect have the same level of information. Okay? Why? Because ultimately you are using this kind of insight to craft your roadmap, right? So if we dive to, so far we were at the application portfolio level. Okay? If we dive to one specific application, okay, we can see different insights that we do bring. For instance, we have computed different risk factors, such as the production risk, the agility, the complexity. So here the platform is telling you the improvement opportunities, meaning the kind of top frequent alerts that we have identified at the code level. So meaning you can send and deliver this kind of insight to your development team and app owner. Okay? Just to make sure that you can, if you fix this part of the code, that's going to reduce drastically your level of risk. You can also compare, and that's also one very great feature that we do offer, is that you can compare with industry peers. Okay? So that's a great feature because you can see how other people in finance industry are performing for application written in C, for instance. How risky are their application compared to mine? Okay, so that's something which is relying on our 25 years of experience and the billions of lines of code that we do scan all across the technology. Last point that may be interesting, especially in cloud migration, is the frameworks that you are using. Okay? So while you are scanning the source code, you are also identifying the framework that you are using. Okay? So that's, once again, at the application level, the insight you need to understand before diving into what we called the Cloud Ready Index. So the way it's working, the Cloud Ready Index relies on two pillars. The first one is a survey. Okay? So we're going to ask actually 9 questions to the app owner about stuff that we cannot derive from the code scan. And the other part is we do scan the code, and this time, instead of looking for code patterns for the risk assessment, we are looking at cloud requirements. Okay? So for instance, when we scan the code, we have this ability to determine how many roadblocks that we have found. Okay? So meaning how many times we have identified some stuff at the code level that can slow down your migration. Okay? And we are actually computing these roadblocks with a level of severity, a level of criticality. Okay? And each time you click on this line, it will tell you exactly in which files we have found these roadblocks. But you can also find some boosters, meaning some development practices that you have into your application that will help you and make the migration even easier. Okay? So let me give you an example of roadblocks. So for instance, when we do scan the source code, if we determine that you are using file system components, you are performing some file or folder manipulation, okay? It's not something that you're going to be able to carry on into a cloud environment. So we are telling you exactly where we are finding that. A booster, you are using a web config file. Okay, which is quite a good thing that will ease our migration. So that's the kind of information we are looking at. And at any time, you can click on the question mark. It's going to tell you actually about the description of this roadblock or booster. So again, maybe the most important point is for the application that evolve at fast pace. Okay, so they may be a good candidate for the migration, but you may want to fix a couple of components before migrating into the cloud. So here you are using and leveraging the feature of it is objective and cost and time efficient. So you can perform this assessment at the end of each sprint. You just want to make sure as an objective at the end of this quarter, I want to make sure my cloud ready index is above 65. And you will be able to scan over the time to track and detect the progress. Not only for the cloud ready index or the cloud readiness of your app, but also for the risk perspective, also for the cost perspective. So bear in mind that is not only be limited to the cloud ready index, is also to understand the full picture. Okay? Because if on one side you're improving your cloud ready index, but on the other side your level of risk is just skyrocketing, there are some trade-offs to do. And that's typically the kind of discussion we've got, with PMO, PPM about the budget, time, quality. Okay? So that's why these insights are so important to present over the time. Okay? So as a takeaway for this presentation about how your business apps cloud ready, we are seeing that pretty much every day is that you've got 2 ways to embrace cloud, or to view at least the cloud. The first one is And I'm pretty sure you're comfortable with this kind of initiative because every CTO or CIO get this one is I need to rationalize, I need to cut my costs, okay? I need to reduce my complexity. So you can see the cloud as a fantastic opportunity here to move from CapEx to OpEx, to make some cost optimization. That's just the first part of the story, right? But what is great is that if you integrate with an IT rationalization approach, you will be the kind of the remedy. You know, you've got one pain, here is a remedy, full stop, okay? But because the subject here is cloud within the digital transformation, you can also see the cloud as a fantastic catalyst to accelerate, to speed up your digital transformation. Why? Because one, it's gonna help you to have access to plenty of workload and services that platform as a service is providing to you. So I named you a couple of them a few minutes ago, but you know, like IoT, cognitive services, okay? But I'll also help you to better provision your environment, to better improve the feedback loop. So it will help you to develop faster and stronger with your development team, and why not also with a DevOps spin, okay? So for us, what we see is application portfolio analysis is bringing you the transparency you need at high level to integrate the cloud journey into whether you need to make some cost optimization, you need to bring more elasticity, okay? You want to turn your infrastructure as a commodity, right? We can answer that, but it's just a starting point to engage with something that will bring innovation with the digital transformation, okay? So that was pretty much actually what I wanted to cover for this presentation. We are at booth 101, so if you want actually to come and to see in action, cast highlight and scan some application in front of you, we'll be more than happy. And I think we've got 2 or 3 minutes for questions if you have. So thanks a lot for your attention.